Hello everyone, Sientir here with more Kingdoms Come Deliverance. And last time I read a bunch of codex entries and started running errands for my character's father. I have a few more errands to run. So let's actually go up to the castle. I need to go pick up a crossguard for the sword my character's father is making. And he wants ale from the ale house, but he also wants it to be cold. And I have a sneaking suspicion it's going to be very hard to get him cold ale if I'm running all the way up to the castle to pick up things. So, hi. I believe I need to speak with one of y'all.
I'll be with you.
I'm with you, Henry.
How are you?
Father sent me. We're forging a sword for Sir Radzig, and the Chamberlain has the crossguard and pommel. Father had them engraved in Sasau.
Right. They're here. The Chamberlain gave them to us for you. We looked them over. Beautiful work. I've never seen anything so fine.
I can't wait to see the sword. Just make sure you don't botch it.
When did I ever botch anything?
Where shall I start?
Shut up and give me what I want, or I'll kick your ass this evening.
Right away, your lordship.
Magnificent. Shame I can't keep the sword for myself. Well, I better go if we're to get the job done by this evening.
Godspeed. See you later in the tavern.
You certainly will. After today's work, the ale might even be on me.
New codex entries. Town garrison. Maintaining law and order in the medieval town was the job for the bailiff. Of the bailiff, excuse me. From the 14th century onward, the function was taken over by the catchpole, then night watchmen and guards on towers. The catchpole, along with the bailiff, the executioner, or the henchman, also carried out the punishment of transgressors. They were not, however, allowed to enter freehold dwellings, the palaces and houses of the nobility, the ruling class, nor church buildings or the university, a fact students took advantage of. Order within the city also had to be upheld by the townsfolk themselves. They were obligated to report not only any crime, but, just like the night watchman, to call out the hours and warn of fire, flood, or tempest. For safety, it was forbidden to wander at night with any open flame, torch, or candle into any castles, chambers, stables, barns, or byres. Only lanterns could be used. So yeah, that's basically saying, like, yeah, you need to have your fire enclosed in order to not set things on fire by accident. This is a really sensible safety precaution, actually. We definitely, in our popular media, overblow the usage of torches. They were not as commonly used as media would have you suspect or think. To keep the peace at night, all taverns had to shut at sunset. I see. In the medieval city, military service was entrusted to either hired professionals or the townspeople themselves. Every healthy adult male had to serve at least a few days a year in the civic guard, the city walls being divided and allocated in sections to each district or trade, and it was here that they mustered whenever an alarm was raised. In practice, the wealthy burghers bought their way out of serving in the militia, leaving other men to take their turn, and these poorer men welcomed the extra income, thus gradually forming a professional municipal gendarmerie. I'm never seen that word before. Each man had to procure the armor and weapons needed for serving in the guards and the militia, unless his guild did so. Only the rich cities could afford to have a public issue armory. The right to bear arms outside of duty was reserved for townsmen of sufficient means. Within the city walls, a simple melee weapon, dagger or knife, had to suffice. Only the really wealthy townsmen wore swords, taking after the nobility. In part, I imagine that is because they were expensive. Let's read a few more of these society entries, shall we? Farmer. Medieval villages comprised some 90% of the populace, the majority occupied with agriculture and livestock farming. I see. So the majority, I assume, of the villagers. Even though farmers were freemen and had always owned their homesteads, the land beneath it was on lease from the monarch, or rather from the noblemen who had obtained it from the king in fiefdom. Okay, so they owned their homes, but not the land their homes were built on, which is kind of a weird way of doing it. They would pay a portion of their annual earnings in rent, whether in cash, honey, wheat, or other crops. Sometimes they were also required to labor for the nobility, i.e., to work unpaid on farmlands belonging to the liege lord. The territorial diets, councils of the 15th and 16th centuries, decreed that the common country folk could not bear arms or engage in hunting. With special permission from the liege lord, they were allowed to hunt hares or small birds. Merchant. Merchants were of two types: settled, permanent, and traveling, occasional. The settled traders had permanent shops in towns and villages, while traveling merchants only brought their wares to the markets. Markets, held once a week, and fairs, held twice a year, also offered wares by local shopkeepers, visitors, and peddlers or hawkers, street vendors without a fixed site. Shopkeepers had their permanent shops on the square. Merchants ran small shops and had the right to retail products they bought from artisans. Village folk got their supplies from neighboring craftspeople in the local tavern or from a merchant who brought supplies from larger townships. At the markets, goods from the village would be exchanged for goods produced and available in the town. The terms of trade were set by the ruler. For example, that only local merchants in sworn possession of freedom of the city rights could sell their goods freely. Only the traders from large cities would venture abroad. Many regulations and detailed rules governed trade. If it were found that a merchant was dishonest and, for example, gave short weight, he was severely punished. Giving short weight, I imagine, is talking about using improper measuring devices that could be a way of cheating people. Noble officials. Hetman. Originally the commander in some armed forces with a rank equivalent to captain. Later on, the role became that of a civic governor, selected from amongst the local nobility who represented the monarch in a given territory. Hofmeister. From the German Hof, meaning a court or manor, a hereditary office at the royal court. He was responsible for management of the court. Okay, that makes sense. Under-chamberlain. Along with the chancellor, the under-chamberlains, in Latin subcamerarius, was a member of the office represented the sovereign in the royal cities, such as protonotaries or notaries. Burgrave, the representative of the sovereign and representative of provincial officials of knightly status. His duties included management of the city and leading the army when needed. Shepherd. A herder's job depended on the weather, most commonly starting in April and ending in the autumn. They took the entrusted herd or flock. It was rarely their own. More commonly, they were hired to supervise the grazing of others' livestock for a fee, from pasture to pasture, sleeping in rudimentary huts or shelters. Over the summer, they stayed out in the pastures, returning to the village when the first frosts set in. Life far from other people forced the herders to become adept at healing themselves and their animals, so when there was no apothecary to hand, folk would turn to the shepherds. Tanner. The tanner was a craftsman who prepared and treated animal skins, after which he passed them on to cobblers, saddlers, or other craftsmen for making footwear, garments, bags, wineskins, etc. It was not a pleasant job, because the skin had to be quickly scraped of its fat and conserved to stop it going off, which was done by immersing it in urine. In view of the unsavory smells produced by their trade, tanners settled on the outskirts of towns and belonged to the same reviled group as executioners, knackers, and prostitutes. To turn hide into a material for making shoes or clothing, after removal from the animal, it must first be thoroughly soaked in water. Once softened, it is fleshed. The residual gore and membranes are scraped off with a long, dull paring knife. In order to rid the hide of fur, it had to be soaked in lime water or rubbed with slacked lime, then scudded. It was then tanned using alum by a currier, with fish oil by the chamazur, or with tannins dealt with by the tanner from oak, beech, or other tree bark. During this whole lengthy process, the hide softened, was stopped from decomposing, and optionally turned a different color. At the end of the process, the hides were submerged for a few weeks in vats or pits full of urine. The leather thus produced was then dried and could be surface treated, painted, or polished. Lovely. We talked about the characters. We've now read all the society things. Events, locations is still kind of empty. There's a bunch of stuff in tutorials, but we'll be looking at some of this stuff as it goes, I suppose. There's a bunch more stuff in general, which I guess we will slowly get to. Let's go ahead and talk about furniture, and then continue on with the game, shall we? Furniture. At the beginning of 15th century, Czech furniture was made of planks and boards using construction of varying intricacy. The timber used was oak, fir, walnut, linden, ash, larch, or spruce. The surface was treated with beeswax or linseed varnish. By the end of the Gothic period, shellac varnish came into use. Staining was done by smoking, using fermented cabbage water or blanching with lime water. Tables and chairs had much the same design, with flat side panels or X-shaped boards. Chests were made in various sizes for keeping dry goods, garments, or other small items of property. Townspeople slept on beds with drapes. Village homes were very simply furnished. The peasants made their own furniture from split and dressed planks and posts. In peasant cottages, they slept on beds of hay or straw laid on the ground. Joiners and carvers decorated furniture with ornamentation. The most expensive furniture had metal elements, which served to brace and reinforce as well as having a decorative function. Most of the furniture in Kingdom Come Deliverance is based on medieval examples from the 12th to 16th centuries. Interesting. Okay. I guess I might as well continue on then for the moment. I picked up the crossguard. Now I need to go pick up some stuff at the tavern. Because Father wants an ale. To the surprise of no one. Or someone. I don't know. It depends. What happens if I run myself out of stamina? Oh, it starts getting real blue. Okay, what is going on here? I got a couple of different... okay, so I can zoom in and out with the scroll wheel. Buy ale at the tavern. Go to the sword fighting lesson. Well, let's buy the ale at the tavern, and I can worry about the sword fighting lesson later. So tavern is over here? Aren't we the blacksmith? Wait, now I'm all sorts of turned around. Wait, where's the entrance to the tavern? Excuse me, I'm trying to find my way around and I... Okay, well, I assume it's this building here.
Linen fabric, dyed and plain, something for everyone.
Gallows Tavern. Ah, I found a cutscene. Ooh.
You can't be serious, Deutsch. Insulting our king.
What insult? I say only the truth. Sigismund has done only what he had to.
He had to abduct the king. He had to lure his cousin Prokop into a trap and imprison him. He had to invade with his army of Tartars and besiege Kuttenberg.
Why not? What is this Wenceslas for a king? The empire is falling asunder in his hands. The German counts elected Ruprecht of the Palatinate as king because your Wenceslas would not go to their diets even.
German counts.
Oh, diets.
Now even the Pope
God be with you,
is
Henry.
opposed to your king.
I'm with you, Matthew.
So such lords as
What's going on here?
Rosenberg,
Deutsch is spouting shit.
What?
and
Just listen and you'll hear for yourself.
Someone has to bring order and reunite the empire.
What do I care about the Austrians? And nowadays, not even the devil himself can keep up with all the popes. Which is the rightful pope? The one in Rome or the one in Avignon?
Do not blaspheme, Alex.
It's true, though. Wenceslas is the king of Bohemia. Bohemian nobles are on his side. To hell with Rosenberg and his cabal. Sir Radzik is Wenceslas' commander-in-chief. He stayed loyal to the king. And if he heard you talking like this, he would have you whipped like a dog.
Your Diet will soon have nothing left to rule. Jobst had to sell Luxembourg to help your king. South Bohemia is with
And
Sigismund
don't forget about Kuttenberg, where Germans like you kissed Sigismund's feet to keep their heads.
Yes, but
Goodman Deutsch, this is pointless. Let us talk of more pleasant things.
My words exactly.
Deutsch has gone too far. Wenceslas is our rightful king.
Deutsch is an idiot. Well, what can you do?
I might have an idea. Deutsch deserves to be taught a lesson. Doesn't he, Fritz?
Too right, Matthew. Should give him a proper hiding.
Are you mad? Do you want to end up in the pillory?
Don't listen to Fritz. I've got a better idea. Deutsch was talking such shit, it made me think of that huge parliament. You know, The one right next to his freshly whitewashed house?
You think we should redecorate for him? Count me in.
Well, I'd rather torch it, to be honest. But throwing some chairs will do.
Yuck.
What do you say, Henry?
But I was going to get ale for father and a few other things. We're finishing Sir Radzig's sword.
Come on. Throwing a few handfuls of manure is not going to take all day.
And it's our duty to defend the honor of our king.
So, Hal, are you with us?
Hal. Is Hal a nickname for Henry? I'm not interested.
Not that I don't want to teach the Deutsch a lesson, but I really don't have time.
Well, that's disappointing. Still, we can manage without you. Let's go, lads.
I have no connection to these
Honestly,
people.
How could you possibly chance like this?
Is this the entrance? More codex entries. Ah, so we've got some information about popes now. We have Pope Benedict the 13th. Benedict XIII, born Pedro de Luna, was elected antipope in 1394 in Avignon. He had previously withdrawn his allegiance to the Italian Pope Urban VI, who represented the Catholic Church in Rome. And we have Pope Boniface the 9th, 1356 to 1404. Pope Boniface the 9th, born Pietro Domicile, was pontiff from 1389, contemporaneously with the Avignon antipopes Clement VII and Benedict XIII. He refused to abdicate, leading not only to a continuation of the Western Schism, but also to an ever-deepening rift in the Church. However, it also meant that Boniface had a growing influence on some important aspects of secular power. I see. And we have Albert IV of Habsburg, the 19th of September 1377 to the 14th of September 1404. I see. The game is in 1403, which is why I was pausing there. Albert IV of Habsburg was an Austrian count, son of Albert III. That makes sense. Excuse me. With whom he fought against King Wenceslas IV beginning in 1394. He also had disputes with Prokop of Luxembourg over the Czech-Austrian border. And Sigismund of Luxembourg. 14 of February 1368 to the 9th of December 1437. Sigismund of Luxembourg, son of Charles IV, was King of Hungary and Croatia from 1387, King of Germany from 1411, King of Bohemia from 1419, and King of Italy from 1431. He was also Prince of Silesia from 1419, Margrave of Lusatia, and most notably Holy Roman Emperor between 1433 and 1437. At an early age, he was sent to be educated at the Hungarian court, quickly mastering the tough conditions of politics. Like other members of his family, he was abducted at least once, in this case by the Hungarian nobility. Having lost faith in the Hungarian nobility, he turned his attention to Bohemia and became engaged in hostilities with his half-brother Wenceslas. Some of the Bohemian nobility welcomed Sigismund, hoping he would rid them of their ineffective monarch, while others sided with Wenceslas, resulting in long-lasting wars, in the course of which Sigismund and his Hungarian army, consisting in no small part of Cuman mercenaries, repeatedly pillaged Bohemia, often with the help of the Bohemian and especially Moravian lords themselves. Sigismund fought not only to seize his brother's throne, but also against the Hussites with the aim of seizing the imperial crown. He regarded himself as the defender of Christianity, and in 1409 even founded the Order of the Dragon to wage war against all enemies of the Christian faith. One of the later members of the order was the infamous Vlad the Impaler, inspiration for the fictional Dracula. That makes sense. Dracula comes from the word dragon, so... After the death of Wenceslas, Sigismund brought to Bohemia 4 unsuccessful crusades against the Hussites. He died soon after the signing of the Compacts, a set of agreements with the reformers guaranteeing freedom of religious belief to every inhabitant of the lands of Bohemia and Moravia. Okay, oh, we got some more society stuff here. Cool. Those can be read later. The Western Schism. I'm going to read this and then I'm going to get back to the game. There's a lot of codex stuff to read, so figuring out how to balance going through all of this codex stuff with playing the game is going to be a little challenging. Anyway, the Western Schism. The Papal Schism, or Western Schism, was a rift in the Catholic Church in the Middle Ages, during which there were two papacies existing simultaneously, one in Rome and the other in Avignon, France. It began in 1378, the year after Pope Gregory XI brought the papal court back to Rome from Avignon, where it had resided for almost 70 years due to hostilities between the Roman papacy and the Kingdom of France. When Gregory died, the Neapolitan Bartolomeo Prignano was elected, I have probably butchered that horribly, was elected pope with the name Urban VI, 1378 to 1389. He, however, quarreled with the very college of cardinals that had elected him. They therefore declared his election void and elected a new second pontiff, Pope Clement VII, 1378 to 1404, who re-established the papal court in Avignon and was recognized by Scotland, Castile, Aragon, son of Arathorn? Anyway, Navarre, and Portugal. Siding with Pope Urban VI in Rome were Italy, Germany, Bohemia, England and Ireland, Flanders, Poland, and Hungary. Okay, let me try to get these things straight. Right, so Scotland would have been separate at that time. Okay. The schism continued even after the death of the original rival popes, with the election of Boniface IX in Rome, 1389 to 1404, and Benedict the 13th in Avignon, 1394 to 1423. The popes in Avignon were called antipopes. For some reason. At this time, European efforts to restore the unity of the Roman Catholic Church were growing. Unfortunately, neither the council nor the popes themselves were able to reconcile, as neither side was willing to budge from their demands. In 1409, the dispute escalated to the point that the cardinals declared both popes invalid and elected a third, the antipope John the 23rd, because John is a very popular name for popes. 1410 to 1415. None of the popes submitted to being dethroned, however. The conflict embroiled the rulers of the various countries involved, among others Sigismund of Luxembourg, who took the side of John the 23rd. The Council of Constance was convened on November 5th, 1414, to resolve the issue. Of 3 popes. Yeesh. The council secured the resignations of Antipope John the 23rd and the Roman Pope Gregory the 12th, and in 1417 elected a new pope, Martin V, 1417 to 1431, based in Rome. This essentially brought an end to the schism, although there were subsequently 2 more antipopes who continued to be supported by a minority, Benedict XIV and Clement VIII, who resigned in 1429, leaving Martin V once again the sole pontiff. Well, that was a lot of names. What? I don't need to lockpick this. Wait, is that not... Wait, what's the entrance to the... Now, how does one enter...
Good health to you, Henry.
Oh, wait. Maybe this is the tavern.
Coming.
Hi, can my eyes adjust, please? Wait, who do I talk to about... Oh, hi, Bianca. Excuse me, Bianca, may I speak to you?
Huh.
I am following you because I don't know how to work this. Here we are. Wait. Here we go.
God save, my lovely. You're looking well today.
You too, handsome. What brings you here?
I mean, ale is the truth.
Just ale?
What else could I expect from a village lout? What will it be then, ragamuffin?
A picture for father.
I need ale for father.
A pitcher as usual?
Aye. Bring me a cool one from the cellar.
But of course.
No warm ale for father, eh? He likes his cold. Yeah. Refrigeration is a wonderful invention.
Thanks.
It's on me today. You can pay me back this evening.
Out of the question. Here you go. And this evening I'll have something more for you.
I can't wait.
Thanks. You'll have something to look forward to this evening.
You too. Oh, by the way, that shifty-looking fellow was asking after you.
Maniac?
I suppose. He's a man who makes his coin robbing honest wayfarers. I'm sure of it. I'll be happy when he's gone for good. But what in heaven's name are you up to with him?
He promised to teach me how to use a sword.
What use would that be to you?
Enough. You sound just like father. I'll be going now. See you this evening.
Hal, I've got something special for you.
Is that so? Now what would that be?
Your favorite, Savior Schnapps.
Really? You're an angel.
I think that's how you save the game.
I hope you'll thank me properly later.
You bet I will.
5 Savior Schnapps. Saving the game. The game saves automatically at important moments during quests and when you sleep in your own bed. To save it immediately, drink Savior Schnapps. I see. I want to read about this then. This is a bunch of controls. The codex accumulates all information about the world, points of interest, and detailed tutorials. You move using WASD and can also sprint with left shift, jump with space, and walk or run with caps lock. I see, so that toggles. Well, I'll have to see what that does. You interact with the world using E. You do stuff that way. If you have a melee weapon on you, for example, a sword, you can draw it using 1. If you also have a shield that can be combined with a weapon, you will equip it together with a weapon. You equip your bow using 2, you crouch using C, you call your horse using X, you toggle your inventories using I, M for the map. You can skip time and wait for something using T. If you're in the middle of some activity, however, pressing T will call up help. You see. I assume you were going to be talking about saving. But, you know, maybe not. Okay. Well, let's go visit Father. Who is back this way. I'll go see that man about the sword training thing later, but... Okay, so if I caps lock... Oh, okay, caps lock toggles that. So this is running, apparently. And caps lock toggles to a different, more walky speed. I see. Hi.
About time. Have you got everything I wanted?
Apparently.
Actually, there's one thing I forgot. Just give me a moment.
Get a move on. We have to finish the sword today.
I didn't realize that was a required part of this quest. Apparently it is. Narrow little path. It's interesting. One of the advantages of being a first-person game is scale. So what I mean by that is third-person games have to worry about having camera space to be able to see your character. And if you have a first-person game, because your camera is in your character, you don't have to worry about having high ceilings and wide rooms to be able to make space for the third-person camera. So you get to adjust your scale a little bit. It's one of those things that's like a subtle little detail. Narrow path made me think about it.
Do you want to learn something? Have you recovered from yesterday's great wound?
It was nothing. Except Mother noticed and had a word or two to say about it.
No mother's happy when her son starts to take an interest in swords. Where there's weapons, there's death. The question is, what do you want?
I don't want to rot in this hole forever. I feel like I don't belong here. I want to live and see the world. The world's a dangerous place and I need to know how to protect myself.
Spoken like a man. And as it happens, today's your last chance. I have to leave. So, are you ready to get stuck in?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, I'll wait on the ground by the sheepfold as usual.
What the heck's that supposed to mean? Okay, what are my quests? Current objective, go to the sword fighting lesson. Let's see. Starting Ale House again today. I see. See, I would have gotten the picture afterwards if I had known that this was or if I had realized that this was a mandatory part that I had to do before I could turn in everything. I'm sure there's reasons for the structuring things this way, but... Oh, yeah, he's going by the sheepfolds over here. Combat Master Vanyek. He's got some nice greaves on. And it looks like Gambison, probably. I'm slowly following him. It's a nice ground path texture. I've discovered combat arena. Okay.
So, can we get started?
We can.
We can.
Good. And since today's the last time we'll be seeing each other, you can show me everything I've taught you so far.
Okay. Game, teach me everything he's taught Henry so far. Or Hal, or whatever his name is.
Very well. Let's start with the basics. Keep moving. Your life depends on it.
Okay, in combat, you're locked onto your opponent. You can move around using A and D. You can unlock from your opponent by holding left shift. Okay.
All right. Now try to hit me. You have to put your weight into your attack. If you just fiddle around, you'll get nowhere. Try slashing from different sides. Unpredictability is the key. Never repeat yourself.
Okay, so how do I perform a slash?
Very good. Nice. Very good. Good. Once again. All right. Good. Once again. The point of the blade is for stabbing. Try it a few times.
Okay, so slashing, stab. Okay. Weak attacks tend to be faster and more precise at the cost of force. Stabs can be aimed at the face and other zones.
Very good. Now you're getting it. Good. Let's try something else. One strike I can fend off without a sweat. But if you chain your strikes, I'll have a much harder time. As soon as you land one blow, follow it with another.
Okay, so there's a bit of a timing rhythm. You can chain strikes together into a combo. Start a new strike as soon as the previous one ends. You can change the attack zone or strike repeatedly. Try left and right at the very moment the previous strike lands. The window of opportunity is between striking at the opponent and the end of his swing.
Not bad. Again.
Okay, let my stamina recover.
Very good. Very good.
Okay.
I don't know about you, but I'm tired and thirsty. Remember though, train hard. No one becomes a master swordsman overnight.
Very true.
Work and work. And the main thing is to use what you've learned in real combat. There's nothing better than experience, believe me.
I believe you. Now, do I have the same speed walking backwards as I do forwards? I think I do. One of the things I like that Guild Wars 1 does is characters move more slowly going backwards. I don't know about you, but I tend to move more slowly when going backwards. I find it to be quite challenging, in fact, to go backwards carefully. Okay, let's go visit Father. So far, this is not causing me any motion sickness, which I'm happy about.
Yeah, about time. Have you got everything I wanted?
I think so.
I have charcoal, the hilt, and the ale. We can start.
Good job. Let's have it then, son. Well done.
Yep.
Right. Let's see what kind of job the master in Sasau did for us. Look at that, lad. That's what I call craftsmanship.
What does the inscription mean?
Damned if I know. Doesn't look like Czech to me. Latin, maybe?
Yeah, it is.
Lord Radzig ordered it. This will be the finest sword I've ever made. We got the charcoal? Good. Then fire up the forge. We'll put it all together.
I know this has a bunch of crafting mini games in it, so.
By the way, I heard some gossip about what happened to Deutsch. I expect you know something about it.
Maybe.
Maybe? Someone threw dung at Deutsch's freshly lime-washed house, maybe? And maybe those cronies of yours had something to do with it?
That Deutsch was talking treason in the tavern about Sigismund and the king. He got what he deserved.
Oh, got what he deserved, did he? Look, I don't know if you're mixed up in this or if it's just those friends of yours. It's all the same to me. But I have a trade to run. The German pays well. And having my son in the pillory helps nothing and nobody, least of all the king. Do you understand?
Yes.
Look me in the eye, Henry. Do you understand?
I understand.
Good. Then we'll never have this conversation again.
What, so you think it's right to let traitors speak ill of the king?
Does that boy ever listen to a word I say? So Deutsch spouts rubbish, so what? You might win a fight with violence, but you'll never win an argument. Remember, Henry, if you want to convince someone that they're wrong, try using your mouth, not your fists.
He's right.
The furnace is ready.
Right, we'll do the grip. I'll heat it up, and when I take it out, you slip the grip on so it fits exactly. You know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. I know exactly what I'm doing as soon as the tutorial text pops up with what it is that I'm doing.
Do it.
Oh, okay. I don't need to.
Good. Once more.
They're burning the wooden grip on.
That's it. Done. Now file it down so it sits well in the hand. I'll prepare the guard.
Father, why did you leave Prague? Who ever heard of a master swordsmith making horseshoes in a village?
I had my reasons, Hal. And here I have your mother and you. Why would I want any other life?
Do you remember Emperor Charles?
I do. Life was good under his reign.
Better than now.
He built half of Prague, and a score of castles, had a bridge made over the Moldau, and founded a university, and all without a war. He knew how to rule.
Better than Wenceslas.
Better by far. But Wenceslas doesn't have it easy. It's hard to step into the shoes of Someone whose like is born only once 1,000 years.
Yeah.
What about Sigismund?
Do you think Charles would have brought an army down on his own people like Sigismund? No. Wenceslas may not be the equal of his father, but Sigismund, he brings shame to the royal name. How's it going? Give it here, and we'll put it all together.
Longsword, judging by the size.
It's magnificent.
Indeed it is. The Lord be with you. My father sent me for those nails.
Good day to you, Teresa. They're ready. Will you fetch them for me, Hal? They're in the trunk in the living room.
Okay. That sounds like a fantastic thing to do next time. Hi, Teresa. I have some nails I apparently am going to be going to get you. But I'm not going to be getting them for you now. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up here. Oh, yeah, I need to look at perks and stuff. I'll look at that next time, too. So, until then, everyone, take care. And goodbye.